Now we're up to Daf Ayin Hamid Beis. The Tanayu Maisa B'Davar Echad. But here in the case of Anasha Tachzir Liyas Aniyar, that's called Maisa Utnai B'Davar Echad, and that is not a valid Tanai, and therefore the get is going to be Chal, even though she has to give back the Niyar. El Amar Avad Barava Mishum Tanayu Maisa B'Davar Echad. Rav Hashi Amar Hamani Rebbe, the Amar of Huna Rebbe. Rav Huna says in the name of Rebbe, therefore, when he says Hareza Gitech Me'achshav Al Menashe Tachzir Seniyah Lachazman, at the time of the Chalos Gerushin, the Niyar is hers. She just has to fill it tonight and give back the Niyar. But the Me'achshav Dami, because Kol Omer Al Menashe is Kol Me'achshav Dami, means that the get is Chalam Afreya. So that's the moment that she had to get. Therefore, the get is Chal. Asking Shmuel begita the Shlimira. Im lo mati lo yeget. V'im mati yeheget. This is what we call a Tanai Koful. And Shmuel's Takana reflects the Shita of Rabbi Meir, that in order for Tanai to be valid, it's got to be a Tanai Koful. You got to say it in both directions. But it's interesting. If we medaya carefully in the Takana of Shmuel, in the language of Shmuel, it says Im lo mati. Why could he say it the other way? Im mati yeget, im lo mati lo yeget. V'lema mati yeget, im lo mati lo yeget. Shelo maktim inish perunusal l'nafshe. A person should not begin by speaking about his death and say up front im mati. You should start with im lo mati. V'lema lo yeget im lo mati. Okay, fine. I can fulfill your requirement of shelo maktim other perunusal l'nafshe without coming on to Shmuel's formula. He could have said, Lo yeget im lo mati. And the Gemara answers no. You can't say Lo yeget, because if you start with Lo yeget, that's considered Maisa Kodem l'Tanai. Therefore, you have to be makdim the Tanai, and you have to start by saying im lo mati in order not to be makdim peronios. Lo yeget. That's called makdim the Tanai. As we saw back on Daf Ayin Heyam and Aleph, the case of Moshe Rabbeinu, he was makdim Tanai Kodem L'Mais. And he said, here's the Tanai. If you fulfill this Tanai, then you get the Nachla in Gilad, Mevra Yarden. Here too in Get. If the Tanai is fulfilled Lo Mati, then you won't get the Get. Maskif lo rava michli kol tanai mechi gamrina mitanai b'degad b'nei ramahasa hein kodem l'lav afkan afkol. Every tanai has to be hein kodem l'lav. So Moshe Rabbeinu said im yavru. Again, it was tanai kodem l'maisa, but it was at the same time hein kodem l'lav, because im yavrun, which is a tanai, they will inherit the land. But here in Takona Shmuel, it says im lo mati lo yeget, which means he starts with lav, kodem lehen, and that's not a fulfillment of the requirements of B'nei Gad B'nei Reuven. Elama Rava says the following: he's got to do it in both directions. Number one, he's got to be makdim his life to his death. Shelo ye makdim ish perusal nafshim lo mati lo yeget. But now you have a problem, because you're being makdim lav kodem lehen, so you have to do it now in both directions. Im mati yeget, and that's called hen, and then im lo mati lo yeget, which is a repeat of what he started with. But on the first round, he only did it in order to quiet down being makdim peronius. The Mishnah now is going to address the case of a get where he says that the get shouldn't be chal until a woman fulfills a tanat. I want you to serve my father. I want you to nurse my little son. What is the minimum requirement for her to fulfill the Tanai and the get will be chal? 2 years worth of Hanukkah. That's the time a baby needs Hanukkah. 2 years, 24 months. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no, you don't need 24 months, but rather Shmona Esrei Chodesh. 18 months is enough. Meis haben, if the little baby Nebuch dies before the 18 months or 24 months, or shemeis ha'av, or the father died before that time period of sherus, of 2 years, let's say, a raise a get. Rabbi Yehuda says the get is immediately chal, because he never actually spelled out how much time of Hanukkah or how much time of Shemar Aviv. So his kavanah was only whatever is necessary. And if there was a Misa, it's no longer necessary, that is elf is a Kiyama Tanai. But if he spelled out in the Tanai exactly the amount of time that he wants from her to Misham Shtafar, or Al Manash Tanikas B'ni Shtei Shonim, Meis haben o shomer ha'av yefshi. If the son died, or the father says, I don't want you to be mishamish me, I don't need it. Shalom Akpad, he didn't say it because he got angrier. Ain't no get. Why? Because the Tanai was explicitly on that minimum amount of time of 2 years. Because they get. Wait a second. It wasn't her fault that there was no possibility of Kiyum Tanai. The Baal wanted the father to be guaranteed all the service he needed for that period of time, or all the Hanukkah was needed. If the Hanukkah is not relevant, or the Sheris to his father is not relevant, then don't blame it on her. As far as she's concerned, and the Kepedas HaBaal, there was a Kiyum Tanai. Kol Shal Reb Shimon Gamliel Klal Kol Akova Sheina Amen. If she doesn't cause the impossibility of fulfilling the Tanai, raise again. And the Gemara says, Umi be'idin kulei hai. Is it really true that for Hanukkah you need a minimum of 2 years or a mini? We learned that Mishamsho Yom Echad or Anikos Yom Echad raise again. So why did the Mishnah say that you need Hanukkah of Zman Meruba? And the Gemara answers, Omer Rav Chizda lo kasha. HaRabbanim Reb Shimon Gamliel. This all depends on the machlokas between the Rabbanim and Shimon Gamliel. Masnisen. Our Mishnah is Reb Shimon Gamliel. Reb Shimon Gamliel holds that if a man makes a Tanai and a get, that he'll receive a certain benefit from his wife, then he wants that benefit in order to be marviach. And if it's for the state of harvach, for the purpose of harvacha, then we understand that his kavanah was, as long as he needs that harvacha, then the Tanai is outstanding. If he doesn't need the harvach anymore, then there's no Tanai. But the Brisa that says that Yom Echad is enough is Rabbanan. Rabbanan hold that what is the intention of the Baal in order for her to be Mekayim the Tanai and validate the get, that's only literally as he made the Tanai. We're not going to say that he made the Tanai for harvacha purposes. This was the Tanai. And the get is only chal with the literal, word for word fulfillment of the Tanai. Those are the conditions in the fine print on the bottom of the document. And therefore, if she fulfilled the condition, what was the condition? It says here that Shetanikes B'ni. Okay. According to Rav Shimon Gamliel, well, wait a second. Tanikes B'ni means that she has to give a full Hanukkah, because that's the Reva. And therefore he wants the entire period of 2 years. Rabbanan say, no. Where does it say anything about 2 years? If you read the Tanai and translate it literally verbatim, he's not interested in Arvacha. He wants a Maisa Hanukkah. 1 day is considered a Maisa Hanukkah. And if it was a Kiyama Tanai, frick the Gemara, that can't be. For me, the Sefer of Shimon Gamliel Avi, the Sefer quotes on Rav Shimon Gamliel, Michlal Dereishal La Rav Shimon Gamliel. So how is it possible to say that the Mishnah reflects the sheet of Rav Shimon Gamliel? Rav Shimon Gamliel is only the dissenting view in the Sefer. Hella, says the Gemara, Brisa, the Brisa that allows for a Kiyama Tanai of Hanukkah of one day, Rav Shimon Gamliel, he's just the opposite. That's Rav Shimon Gamliel. He's going to be the Mekil in Tanai. The Mekil with Tanai. Rav Shimon Gamliel was the one who said that will take a liberal interpretation of Almanasha Titni Lietz Talisi, and he'll accept the money, the monetary equivalent value of the Talisi. So if Rav Shimon Gamliel is Mekel and Tanoim, they'll be Mekel and Tanoim and say that if we take the Tanai literally, 1 day of Hanukkah is enough. But Masnis in the Mishnah that says she has to be Menik the entire period of time of 2 years, that's Rabbanan. They were Machmer in the Dinei Tanoim, and they said, you know what? The Tanai has to be it's Talisi, and only it's Talisi. But Damim will not supply and will not fulfill the Tanai. And therefore, we're going to interpret his intention that Tanik Espedi means the full 2 years of Hanukkah. Rava has a different explanation to reconcile the contradiction between the Mishnah and the Brisa. Lo kasha, kan v'stam v'kan v'mefarish. The Mishnah is talking about a case where the Baal said stam. He didn't say exactly how long she has to be menik his son, but kan in the Brisa, he's mefarish. What does it mean he was mefarish? He said explicitly, I want you to be menik and be mishamish my father for 1 day. And that's why the Brisa says that's considered a kiyama tonight. But in our Mishnah, where he said stam, he didn't say azman. We assume that he meant the entire period of time. Rav Ashi Omer has another way of interpreting this Mishnah and the Brisa. Kol stam nami kimfarish yom echad dami. According to Rav Ashi, even when a person makes a Tanai stam and he doesn't mention the amount of time, yom echad is sufficient. His kavana is only for yom echad. And that's how we interpret stam. And then Mela, we can interpret the Brisa, even in a case where there was low piresh against Rava. Tonight we learned in that Mishnah, I understand this Mishnah according to Rava, because according to Rava, he said stam. And since he said stam, we have to figure out how much of Hanukkah she has to supply, how much of a shemesh for father, how long of a period of time. Rav Ashi, according to Rav Ashi, then in the case of stam, all you need is yom echad, is lamalish teishanim, lamalish monasar chodesh, v'yom echad sagi. Rav Ashi's opinion that stam is ki yom echad dami, and the Gemara says hachi ka'amar. This is what the Tana had in mind. Yom echad mish teishanim, 1 day out of the 2 years. Afuki echad shtei shanim. So if she only supplies a day of Hanukkah after 2 years, that's not considered kiyama tonight. So that if she gives 1 day out of the 2 year period, that's considered a kiyama tonight. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, echad mishmonasar chodesh, 1 day out of 18 months. Lafuki liachar shmonasar chodesh, but if 18 months pass by, below, that's not a kiyama tonight. The baby is no longer royal Hanukkah. Meisvei in the Gemara Sakashim Rav Ashi from the Sefer of our Mishnah. Hareza gitech almanashe tisham sheis avo shtei shonim. Almanashe tanikis b'nei shtei shonim. Meisa ben osha amalav yef shisham sheni shalo bakvoda. Ain't no get. The get is not chal. The Gemara says, wait a minute. Tef ein vav. Bishlei Rava, according to Rava, I understand the difference between the Reish and the Sefer. It's smooth. Because the Mishnah is talking about a case that she began to be menik and to be meshamish. Is reisha below piresh. He did not say specify a specific amount of time, and therefore, if the baby dies, or the father dies, is then the kiyama tonight. But say for the parish, he went out of his way when he formulated tonight. He says almanashe tanikes b'ni shtei shanim. And therefore, if she doesn't give a full Hanukkah of Shtei Shanim, even though it's not her fault, then the Tanai is not Makuya. El Rav Ashi, according to Rav Ashi, who holds that even if he was not parish, his kavana was Shetaniki Yom Echad, 1 day is Maishno Reisha Maishno Sefer. In both cases, Lo Niskayim Tanai. So why is the din in the Reisha that the get is Chal when there was no Kiyama Tanai at all? And the Gemara says Kasha. This is a question that we cannot answer. So this, Mitzvah Hashem, is where we'll pick it up tomorrow here on Daf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph. So wishing you a great day. Thank you so much.